Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the bold analysis. There is the usual watchman asking a question on what exactly happened. I was just checking the standard today. Our inflation in this month hit 9.2, up from 9%, 9.2%, up from 9%. And the same newspaper is telling Kenyans that on 1st February, where the new tax measures are going to be effected, the tax is going to go up in affecting different products, including one, water, the others for consumption, non-alcoholics, and beauty, which is also another sector we normally import, and electricity. So that is the warning from the taxman that he's going to press you harder in the month of April. And this begs the question. We've seen a slow start, even though we actually expected that things were going to be different. And maybe it's time we take just a minute and share something with the president, so that I want to tell you what went wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly subscribe to our channel. Click the notification bell and like our video. Thank you very much for those who support us from different parts of the globe, for your support, for those who share words of encouragement, to support us even financially. Nasema asanteni sana. Can you listen to this gentleman? I normally like listening to him because the watchman reminds and he tries to ask questions and put a reminder, or rather the watchman of the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. Now listen to this. I'll come back and try to answer the question he's trying to ask the president here.
Mr. President, it is 6 months since you took office. Let me bring to your attention that the economy is in ICU. Various indicators show that we have gone from bad to worse and are steadily heading to a worst case scenario. The shilling is at a free fall. The cost of basic commodities is rising exponentially. Cooking oil, maize flour, gas, fuel are among basic commodities whose prices have become unaffordable for many Kenyans, regardless of how they voted in the 2022 election. When you campaigned for office, you were the deputy president of this country. You said you were aware that Kenyans were hurting, but you couldn't do anything about it because you had become an outcast in a government you helped to form. You blamed the president, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, the deep state, the system, the handshake for the current state of affairs in the country.
Mimi si wazimu. I am the deputy president of Kenya, and I am not a madman. Na mimi si mlevi. Na mimi si mjinga. I know what I'm saying. There is an issue we must sort out. So wachana na matusi. Wacha hasira. Kuna watu wengi wako na hasira. Mbona Ruto anazungumzia wheelbarrow, mbona hiyo. My friend,
you played with the emotions of Kenyans to the extent where people who voted for you were actually voting in protest of the government of the day. Nonetheless, you made promises to the people of Kenya that if elected, you would ensure that these promises were fulfilled. We assume you made these promises knowing all too well the current state of the country because you said you were the deputy president and you knew what was happening.
Hiyo deputy president anasema haiwezekani. Mimi nataka niwaambie, mnisikize vizuri. Mimi ndio deputy president wa Republic of Kenya saa hii. Na mimi si wazimu. Na mimi si mjinga. Na mimi si mlevi. Mimi naelewa ile kitu mimi nasema.
You took an oath of office and you are now the occupant of State House. Mr. President, with these facts in mind, I want to ask you a few questions. Number one, When former President Mwai Kibaki took over from President Moi in 2002, did you ever hear him complain that he could not deliver because President Moi had ruined the economy and the country? No, he did not. He got to work silently and delivered to the people, ushering in a new era of economic prosperity. He did not blame Moi, the deep state, the system, or Raila Odinga. He got to work. Remember, President Moi ruled for 24 years. Number 2, when will you emancipate yourself from the claws of the past and create your own identity away from the shadow of Uhuru Kenyatta and Jubilee? As I have told you before, you are now the head of state and the one with the levers of power. Kenyans are looking up to you to do something. They are no longer looking at Uhuru or Jubilee Party. It is you, Mr. President, who has to do something. Will you actually do something? Or is it that you are just campaigning against Uhuru Kenyatta and did not intend to do anything about the state of affairs? Mr. President, as I wind up my submission to you today, I have a word of advice. You are now in the driver's seat of this nation called Kenya. It is not wise to keep focusing on the rear view mirror because you might not be able to see what's ahead of you and you will crash the vehicle with 53 million Kenyans inside. Last and most important, beware of the company you keep. The same people who are clapping for you as you continue to okay the politics of blame game and sympathy will be the first to scatter when Kenyans say enough is enough.
Wow, I normally like listening to the Watchman. Check out his Instagram page. It's called the_Watchman_KE. Listen to his videos there. I like listening to him. I listen to that and I say one thing. What went wrong? And I think it's about time the Kenya Kwanza or Mr. President sits down and asks himself, what went wrong? From the word go, something went wrong. From the day swearing in was done, something went wrong. And I am convinced, I am a bit persuaded by the school of thought that Ruto did not expect that he was going to be the president. Or rather, his presidency was captured by the deep powers, and the man we had in campaign trail was just a political mouthpiece. He was just the man in front, but behind the scene, there was someone who were looking at. Let me tell you, what went wrong, number one, with the president, and that's why I'm feeling he needs to sit down and rethink, is the Western powers that were behind his candidature captured him. They packaged a man and called that man a hustler. And they sold that man. They brought that man to the population. But behind the scene, they knew what they wanted. Let me be very frank with you. And let us be very frank here. Some of the problems we are facing, they may not have quick fixes. But if you compare what Uhuru was trying to do, Uhuru did not have a quick fix, but Uhuru had a contingency. Now we've had a Kenya Kwanza regime that is very rigid. Rigid in the sense that you know very well that if I do this, for example, if I dangle with a subsidy in the electricity, in the energy, I am going to solve many problems for the time being. As I still struggle to work with the IPPs, IPPs is independent power producers. Of course, the politics of energy is very deep. I've ever tried to do it. I ever did it here, and it's very interesting. It's very deep. But because William Ruto by then was going in conformity with the IMF and the World Bank of this world, they're the people that captured his presidency. And we have Kenya Kwanza that is tied up and cannot do anything outside the IMF program regime. You know, we remember they even complained that what Uhuru was doing was maybe financing or supporting some few companies here and there. But then he managed electricity by then. However, we are not having those subsidies, but as until now, we still don't have the priority of where that money we are putting it. So one of the problems that happened, why Mr. President, your 6 months is going down, is because your one term is going down, is because of the brittle institutions. We are captured. The Americans, institutions, and the international financial regime has actually captured our presidency. There is the second things that went wrong. There was when the Rigathi Gachagua found out he realized he was now a de facto deputy president. We took energy and our time to first celebrate, and we are still celebrating, but we anchored our presidency, or they anchored power, or rather they anchored their regime vis-a-vis Uhuru Kenyatta. For example, it's just to create a comparison. It's not, for example, when we're coming up with policies, we are not evaluating them in terms of success in the future, in terms of merit, but we are evaluating them just to outsmart Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. You know, one thing that is here is that the intention of the Mount Kenya people that supported UDA, they were never so much interested with Ruto becoming president, but they were getting an opportunity just to upstage Uhuru Kenyatta in Mount Kenya. So we got an agent. You know, I remember during when you wanted to attack handshake, there were statements like, things did not work because we got an urgent mission under the BBI. And it was really amplified and voters voted. Now, in the first 6 months, we got one urgent thing to do revenge missions. And these revenge missions have been disruptive. In fact, if William Ruto and Kenya Kwanza, I want to tell you for free, if you want to pick up and people to have a feel, is start from where Uhuru left it. Start from where Uhuru left it. I can tell you that I am convinced, tuambieni ukweli, let's just say the truth. The 18 billion we are told has been given out under the Hustler Fund, that money is being given out as loan. And if it's being given out, it's going to people's phones, people are withdrawing them. So as we talk, we should have 18 billion cash. People having 18 billion as cash because they borrowed it and it's in circulation. If that money would be in circulation, I can tell you they could not feel the outcry. So somewhere we have an enterprise, a business enterprise, and a lot of things that are really shrouded in some misery or other in secrecy. So things are just falling apart because first, we don't have a priority. We don't have a priority. We are fighting small battles that do not. In fact, look at decisions like even reversing port to Mombasa. It was done, it was a campaign pledge, yes, but in terms of its assessment, you're just doing it because I want to undo what Uhuru did. Look at KRA. Look at revoking appointments here and there. They're just trying to undo. So we are putting ourselves in situations of comparing in future. In fact, for example, I'm very sure there are people that have been employed and have gotten parastatal jobs. They are very incompetent. Even in cabinet, we have people that are very incompetent, But we are just having them because we don't want Uhuru's men in those dockets. Who will despise a man like Fred Matiang'i? You can call him all sorts of names, but in terms of service delivery, you cannot. He is unmatched. He is unparalleled. Even in the current William Ruto's cabinet, no one can match Matiang'i, former CS Matiang'i. So we've had a bit of people who, sorry to say, but are just jokers and joyriders. And Mr. President, people are broke. What went wrong? Did we have, and you can even wonder whether we had intention to work, because things seems not to be moving. What's your take? What went wrong? I want to see your feedback here.